Dementia and communication. Communicating with a person with dementia can be very challenging and also rewarding. As caregivers, it's important to know what types of communication challenges you might be facing as the condition changes, and how to respond with compassion and respect. Dementia causes changes in the brain which impact a person's ability to communicate. It can affect both their capacity to take in information and to share their thoughts with others. In early stages, we may notice that the person with dementia is repeating stories. They may have difficulty finding the right word, or describe familiar objects rather than calling them by name. They may even say things that are uncharacteristic or inappropriate. If the person accepts their diagnosis and is open to a conversation about this, ask them how they would like you to respond when you notice these behaviors. Some people will want help finding the right word. They might appreciate knowing that they're saying things which are out of character from when their brain was healthy. But not everyone can accept that they've had a diagnosis or that there's a problem. For these people, pointing out communication issues can lead to an argument. Worse, the person may stop trusting you or believing what you say, which can be very damaging to your relationship. Whether the person accepts the situation or not, these communication struggles can be frustrating. Avoid saying things like, "You've told me that 1,000,000 times," or "Don't you remember? You just said that 20 minutes ago." Instead, behave as though it's the first time you're hearing their statement. Easier said than done, right? If this drives you crazy and you routinely feel fed up and angry, remind yourself that this is a very common experience in dementia care and that those feelings will eventually pass. Find ways to give yourself a break and clear any negative emotions so you can stay calm, understanding, and present. Check out our videos, Coping with Repetition and Caregiver Self-Care. If the person with dementia asks you a question that doesn't make sense, look for clues about what they might mean. "I can't find my feet" might be a request for helping to find their slippers. "My buttons don't work" might indicate they need help putting on a shirt. If they use a word that you don't understand, ask if they might use a different word or describe it. Be prepared to say that it's you causing the problem. "I'm so sorry, my brain doesn't seem to be working very well today. Can you describe the thing you're looking for?" Remember that it's essential to avoid criticizing them or arguing. That only makes the situation worse. If the person is struggling to communicate, avoid the temptation to finish their sentences. And try not to repeat your question before they've had adequate time to respond. Because the brain's ability to process information is being affected, it can take up to 20 seconds for a person with dementia to answer a simple question. Even in early stages of the disease, changes to the brain's processing speed can cause a person to miss 1 in every 4 or 5 words that are spoken to them. As you can imagine, this makes it a lot more difficult for them to follow a conversation. Add on external distractions, and it can be even harder for them to focus. Having your conversation in a quiet room will be a lot more successful than trying to talk at a noisy restaurant or social gathering. Keep in mind that you're the person's advocate in social settings. If others are struggling to communicate with them and they start to ask you questions on their behalf, you may want to pause that person, take them aside, and ask that they have patience for the person's slowed response time. Commend them for continuing to include the person in conversation, as it helps the person feel special and seen. This is also true for appointments. During doctor or dental visits, you may want to handle the complex details, but don't leave the person with dementia out of the conversation entirely, or they could feel diminished, like they don't matter. If you don't live with the person with dementia, ask how they'd prefer to communicate. Maybe they'd prefer email or texting, since it would give them more time to respond. If they prefer a phone conversation because they like to hear your voice, why not set up a schedule in advance, such as an appointment to talk every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. When communication gets challenging, remind yourself that the person with dementia is largely unable to change. If communication needs to improve, we're the one who must improve it. Adjust your language to suit them. Use short sentences. Keep that processing speed in mind. Speak slowly. If comfortable, maintain eye contact as you speak, and move your body to help explain what you're trying to convey. If you're suggesting they do a task, offer one instruction at a time. A healthy brain would understand the actions implied in the phrase, "Why don't you go upstairs and get ready for bed?" But to this person, it may be overwhelmingly complex. If the person turns away or responds negatively to a suggestion like that, think about how you can break the task down into manageable steps. "Hey, let's go upstairs now." "Here's the bathroom. Time to brush your teeth." "I'll get your pajamas while you use the toilet. Look at this lovely soap you can use to wash your hands and face." Eventually, each of these tasks may need to be broken down into even simpler steps. Things can change quickly for someone with dementia, so keep paying attention to how the person responds with each new request. With time and practice, it's going to get easier to use mindful phrasing when you speak. Try to avoid long, open-ended questions like, "What do you think you'd like to eat for lunch today?" This gives too much complex information at once and puts pressure on the person to know what the options might be. Instead, offer simple choices. "It's time for lunch. Would you prefer a ham sandwich or a tuna sandwich?" Ideally, you could show them both options to help them make a visual connection between the choices. It's really important to offer the person choice for as long as possible. But in later stages of dementia, when even simple questions can cause confusion, it might be kinder to decide for them, respecting what you know about them. "This dish is all vegetarian and not too spicy, het?" Or, "Here you go, Dad. I know you love chicken soup." It's all about respecting their diminishing ability to receive and share information. You might try using yes or no questions. "Would you like to listen to music?" is better than asking something vague like, "What would you like to do now?" Just be mindful to avoid asking yes or no questions in situations where no is not an acceptable answer. Don't ask if they like a drink of water. Just hand them a cup with a smile and mimic drinking. If you know Mom probably needs to empty her bladder, but she takes offense at the suggestion, then perhaps asking, "Would you like to use the toilet?" could trigger her. Instead, can you make it inclusive? "Hey, Mom, I really need to pee. Can you help me find the bathroom?" Better still, say, "Oh, the doctor says we need to get more exercise. Let's go for a little walk." Then intentionally walk past the bathroom, pause, and say, "Oh, look, the bathroom. Why don't we just freshen up on our way?" It's all about respecting their diminishing ability to receive and share information. If the person still has functional eyesight, it can be really helpful to use visual cues to help you communicate. Mimic the desired action. Sit down, drink water, put on a sweater. Humans have evolved to communicate using body language, so these simple gestures can instantly clarify what it is you're saying. You might also ask the person with dementia to point or use gestures to help you understand them. If they struggle, be prepared to own the problem. "I don't know why I'm having so much trouble today. I must not have my thinking cap on. Would you mind showing me what you're asking for with your hands?" Some people will eventually become nonverbal or use a word salad, a jumble of random words that others aren't able to understand. In these cases, respond to their emotions instead. If the person with dementia is agitated, say, "I can see you are very agitated. That would make me mad too." If they're laughing, laugh along with them. Quite often, people don't need us to solve a problem. They just want to be seen and to make a connection with you. If they appear agitated or angry, avoid saying something like, "Calm down, I cannot help you unless you calm down." Instead, take a breath and offer them comfort and reassurance. "Wow, something is really upsetting you, and I want to be able to help, but I need to calm down first. Would you mind holding my hands and taking a few deep breaths with me?" Please check in with yourself regularly about how these communication challenges are affecting you. If you're feeling exhausted or overwhelmed, make sure that you're taking breaks and that your needs are also being met. A support group is a great place to share information and to discover some new solutions that you might not have thought of. Thank you for what you do to look after the person you care for. Please make sure that you also take good care of yourself. Thanks for watching. Take good care.